know that you're playing ground stains.
And I play in the movie Stains, which is named after the man Graham Staines, who was an Australian missionary who was killed in 1999. Now, obviously, in the country of India, the story of Graham Staines is significant.
Very popular, yes,
Yeah. So it's just interesting in God's timing that now 2018 is when the timing of everything is correct for the movie to be completed. And soon all the world and India will have the opportunity to experience this extremely powerful and transformative story of forgiveness.
Will you be translating this into some other language?
I'm sure that the producers will be doing that, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be very impactful. How's it like being one of the Baldwin brothers?
Well, being one of the Baldwin brothers is a little strange, quite frankly.
I know.
But it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about how you became a Christian.
Well, again, I'm 51 years old, and I've been working 35 years in the Hollywood community and in the film business. But 15 years ago, I had a very radical conversion to born-again Christianity. It was kind of as a result of just a sequence of events that God had arranged. I'm married to the same woman now who I met when I was 19. My wife, Kenya, 31 years. We met, we've been together 31, but married 27.
I read a little bit about that in the book.
Yeah. And after I met my wife and we were married, we had our first daughter, Alaya, several years later. And after the birth of my daughter, my wife, through her family in Brazil, was able to find a housekeeper and a nanny to come work with us. For the first 2 weeks, this woman from Brazil, whose name was Augusta, she worked with us, but all the time when she was working with us as the housekeeper, that, she would always be singing whenever she worked about Jesus. So after 2 weeks of this, my wife said, Augusta, I noticed you sing about Jesus, only Jesus, all the time about Jesus. Why do you only sing about Jesus? And Augusta, who was a very quiet person, very conservative person, had a very strange reaction. She started to laugh. And after a few minutes, she pulled herself together and gathered herself and composed herself, and she said to my wife, Mrs. Baldwin, I'm so sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but I'm so happy you asked me this question. I'm so happy you noticed my singing. She said, I think it's really joyful that you think the reason I'm here is to clean your house. Then she explained to my wife, before I accept this opportunity to come work for you, I pray with my pastor, I pray with my prayer group, and one individual who was the prophet in the prayer group received a word from the Lord. And this person was told to tell Augusta, you must go work for these people. If you do, because of your obedience, this husband and this wife will come to know Jesus and be involved in ministry. And all of that came true.
So what makes you start this humble ministry?
To be well known is a blessing, but for me it's just a tool, so Humble Resources is going to be a connecting point for ministry and charity and humanitarian work, things like that. So I believe that you can impact the world. You can have an impact on poverty. You can have an impact on all of these negative influences on our culture. You can have a positive influence on all of them, but it doesn't have to be some billion-dollar company. A good example is you, my friend. You do your thing, right? With your camera and your lights, and it's just you, but still, we're going to be able to communicate this message.
Right.
And however God wills, however God wants for this message, this moment, this information to reach them, He will decide who it speaks to, So for me, Humble Resources is the same idea. I don't have to have a big, foundation and raise billions. I could just, give my heart to the Lord and give my heart to God and say, show me your will. Show me where you want me to go, what you want me to do. So Humble Resources is going to be preaching the gospel. It's going to be putting water filtration systems around the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be blessing the poor. It's going to be protecting the innocent, relevant to human trafficking and things like that. So anybody can go to loveallservegod.com, loveallservegod.com, to get more information about Humble Resources. And again, it's a connecting point where people can partner with me to do ministry through these other smaller organizations that I'm working with.
That's great. What about India?
Oh, India's on the list.
Okay,
Yeah,
great,
India's
great,
definitely
great,
on the list.
great. In 2001, September 11, World Trade Center was attacked, and somebody told me that.
Well, yeah, the timing of 9/11 was very interesting because 1 year before 9/11 is when my wife became a born-again Christian.
Oh.
It was before me. So the
Oh.
year before 9/11, God was working on my mind and my heart and preparing me for the timing of when He would want to share with me my calling, so to speak.
So you gave your life to Jesus in 2001.
Right after 9/11.
Right after 9/11.
Yeah, right after March of 2002. Well, no, I think. Listen, I'll give you a crazy example. You know, different countries now deal with different weather.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you know this word tsunami? It's the water coming, right? So when the horn is blowing, boo, here comes the tsunami. What does everybody do? They evacuate.
Yeah, right. Run away.
They take something. They take action.
Yeah.
Why? Because the time is limited, and that water is coming.
Yes.
So they have to stop everything and focus on how to get to safety.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question. If we know that Jesus is coming, and there's only a limited amount of time before Jesus comes, and what Jesus wants us to do is tell the world about Jesus, if the time is limited, then don't we have to do more with the limited time we have? Doesn't that mean that people like you and people like me and people out there, we have to say to them, what are your priorities? What's the most important thing? What Jesus said to do, or all these other things we're doing? You understand? So there must be a sense of urgency in our prioritizing our dedication to Jesus. That's the one thing in the media I like to share with people is the best way to ensure in the future the hopes and goals of Jesus and Christianity is to preach the gospel to the younger people. That's something I have a big heart for and I'm very involved with.
How many movies you've done so far?
Well,
Can you remember?
I've done over 100 movies.
What's your favorite character that you played?
My favorite is when I played Barney Rubble in the Flintstones movie.
Yeah, you played that. I remember.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but that's before you become a Christian, right?
Right.
Yes.
So now I'm really more focused on wanting to write and produce and direct, and use all of my experience from the 100 movies I did to now make movies that glorify Jesus Christ and the kingdom of Jesus Christ.